Saturday. Told you I was coming through today. Gonna be here for at least an hour. Not gonna be uh not gonna be tomorrow, but today I will be. Gonna drop some of this out. But anyway, welcome to Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday day. A lot going on, a lot of things to take in, a lot of things to see. So hope everybody's doing good. Just coming here today, and I'm gonna start off with pieces. It could be early Sunday morning to you. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Um, so the question today is going to be about that whole thing with that astronomer CEO busted with the HR side piece. You know, it was on the jumbotron, and he said they saw their whole lives flash back. Do you think that's a big deal? And I asked that because in corporate world, they always try to downplay people have a romantic relationships on the job, but we know that it's almost inevitable with most a lot of these cases. People work together, get close. But the reaction of this guy who was married and the HR woman and how he played it off when the camera Jumbotron caught up with him was classic. I laughed. But will they face the same repercussions as TJ Holmes and Amy Robach did on Good Morning America? 'Cause TJ Holmes is black and Amy Robach is a white woman. Do you think they'll get the do you think they'll get the backlash and all the hate mail and everybody be all moralistic, or do you think it'll be much ado about nothing? And I thought I would talk on that because that got my attention. That dude's reaction when they got cold bust on the jumbotron and he got whiter than white. And she was like, "Oh, my whole life is just over now." So that was like want to get away. That was like when the Maryland, when the commercial, I was cracking up. First of all, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal to in a world. I think that thing will pretty much subside. They're not going to get what T.J. Holmes and Amy Robach got with the whole hate mail and all the disdain. That's not going to happen. But it'll be something, but it won't be because this happens way often than not. It happens way often than not. People don't have no morals, especially in this day and time. You ain't gonna have a Gary Hart. It'll be like Bill Clinton's thing, with Monica Lewinsky. It ain't gonna stop, you know. It's not gonna really stop the sway of people. They still do it all. They still have these situations all the time. I mentioned former NBA on David Donald Sterling. Used to have the wife on one side and the mistress on the other. Now, if you black and you doing something like that, that's a horse of a different color. Because we are, but we know that there's different standards for different folks. So we already know. But anyway, yeah, it got my attention and I thought I'd talk about it. But anyway, um, that Jumbotron was hilarious though. The reaction was priceless though. That was like, wow, cold busted. Cold busted. Mm-mm. So you just, when you out here, if you creeping or if you on the down low and you swinging, you gotta make sure you keep your business out of your business so people don't because I mean that was asking for it. And you in the middle of a Coldplay concert too? I mean, come on now. Like they didn't put the Jumbotron on you. Somebody did it on purpose. There was somebody was trolling. And then that thing blew up. That thing was like wrong, but hilarious. But you know how folks is. They then it somehow get you can't be like on shock and hard that it happened. We'll fess up to it. Y'all was out there creeping. So what you think? You know, gang, what's up? What's going on today with you? Yesterday we had a pretty good amount of people in here. Yesterday we did quite a bit. It was a good Friday, so welcome aboard. I'm sure you have some commentary, as I like to take on different topics, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So we'll talk about it. As a matter of fact, I got a video I got to do later that got my attention. So feel free to, if you have questions, we're gonna see what we're talking about. Today is, again, as I mentioned, it's early day, so there's a lot going on, and feel free to commentate. We'll see who all comes through. As the usual, if I get a substantial amount of people, I'll be on longer. If not, I will conclude. I've always got videos and projects to work on, but I welcome the conversation and I appreciate it when it comes through. But there's always stuff to do. Always got something going on. So we shall see. What's happening? Thank you for coming through. Let's get into some conversation. I know you got commentary, so let's do it. Well, let's do it. Keep hitting the like. If you've seen that video about that poll, feel free to hit that one too. That was one of the craziest videos I've seen in recent memory. And it was almost like something out of a movie. I'm like, you are a CEO, you in there booed up, and y'all at a Coldplay concert, and they got a jumbotron. They're not exa they know where you sitting. Somebody tipped off everybody. You even got that look like you got money. You know when your hair is all shined a certain way? It looked like somebody. Do I agree with Shaq about what? If you're talking about what he said about RG3, 100,000%. If you're talking about that. If you're talking about the disrespect that Kobe Bryant gets, 100,000%. MJ and Curry had the most work to carry. I agree. Well, it's not even about Coldplay. It's about that CEO who got busted with that woman at the show. Yeah, Jordan. Well, I'm not gonna say that they had them. Isaiah Thomas could be in that argument too. Guard-based players that won without a dominant player get that conversation. So you got to throw Isaiah Thomas in there too. He went 3 straight times, 2 chips, 4 straight Eastern Conference Finals. Nobody that played center for the Pistons is a Hall of Famer. Rodman is considered one of the 75 greatest players, but when they played with the we played with Isaac, he wasn't that dude. Joe Dumars, they gave him a token spot as top 100, and you can debate 99, 95 to 100, but at 75, no, 50, no. So Isaiah's situation is even more unique, you know. Um, so I'd say that. Curry, because of the way he played, you gotta remember to do what he did and burn up that kind of energy and all that. That's a lot of energy. You got to be in incredible shape. You got to be able to endure. So, but they're in the argument. Those are two of them. But I'd have to throw Isaiah Thomas in there too. I can't really say that about any other of these teams because most of them had a standardized thing, you know. So Isaiah, MJ, and Curry, I would say it about. You know, we got hopefully getting some comments now. Come on now, let me see what you're working with. Somebody will think it's a big deal, some won't. It all depends on who you ask. Um, all depends. I think that was pretty arrogant, though. You sitting your butt in the middle of it. There's a lot of jealousy about Angel Reese, and she's a black woman, and she's young, and she has appeal, and of course, people gonna have a problem with that. That's no different. History repeats itself. It happened with Serena Williams. I'm not saying Angel Reese is gonna have the half of Serena's, but you know. Oh wow, okay. I like you. You cool. Welcome, welcome. You never hear nobody say anything about Otis Birdsong. Otis Birdsong could score. He looked like Otis. He had an old man vibe, but he could score. Moncrief was a dude. Actually, Jerry West wanted to draft instead of Magic. That's interesting. With the come from Arkansas because I remember sitting here like yesterday. And Rolando Blackman, he could flat out score. You know, the Mavericks had a squad of cats that could play. Wow, that's a heck of a statement. Oh yeah, you know you really talking to the core. 'Cause 80s basketball to me is still the golden era for me. I'm sorry. Teams had identity, they played defense, they threw you on your back. You did everything else that you could do in the other era. Is that they just watered everything down. They made it more for TV. And you know, anybody who says that knows what I'm about to say, especially if they grew up back then. Isaiah and them with Kelly Tripucka predated the Splash Brothers. They played the highest scoring game back in '84. People don't give Isaiah Thomas his due. He already did that. It didn't work. So that's when he went to that more slow it down, ball hog, get physical, grind you out ball. But they were running in '84. The Nuggets used to run. Bill Haslick, Dan Issel. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the Mavericks had a squad. If Roy Tarpley could have kept his head on straight, oh man, it was a freak. Yeah, they had squads. They were in the Western Conference Finals. That you had some character, it just didn't have the structure. But you had some squads. You had some squads back there. Spurs did too, you know. Except the only thing out of Houston that came out there was the Rockets. That was a funny story. Bill Willoughby with that block on Magic, and then you fool around and get to Ralph Sampson. I know. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah. It's just that if you went by NBC and ESPN, you unless you got someone to tell you about it, they're not gonna tell you about it though. They're not gonna tell you about it. Yeah, the Nuggets were fun to watch back then. Fat Lever was something else. Eric Sleepy Floyd, you know. Well, Denver, yeah, had a squad, yeah. Boy, but shoot, if Jamal Murray could score like Alex English, the Nuggets would have about 3 or 4 rings. Bob McAdoo, so I grew up in Buffalo, Buffalo Braves before he went on to the Knicks and then then he went on with the Lakers. McAdoo was a bad dude. He was a precursor to Durant and Dirk. You'll never hear about it. There was no 3-point line, and he was averaging 30 plus. He was a slash center power forward. He was slashing before Tim Duncan. People don't talk about it. I appreciate it. McAdoo was a bad dude. Had them old man sideburns too, like he should be singing with the Spinners. Him and Marvin Bad News Barnes. Bosch and Aldrich is who I'd pick. Blake and Love got to go because Bosch can do everything. Underappreciated, and Lamarcus was cool. Oh yeah, Big E. Oh yeah, the Big E with Washington, the old man mustache and the beard, and he was bad in college. And Tiny led the points and assists. People don't give Tiny his due. Man, Tiny played today, and he could shoot, and he had handles too. Well, see, when he played for the Kings, they were in Saudi Arabia. They kind of there right now too, because they're back to their old nobody's watching them thing. Yeah, those some bad dudes back then. Bad dudes. Different era basketball. So Well, the '80s version, not so much, but Rutland and that, yeah. Now, nowadays, it'll Iceman had the sickest finger roll, so you think about the stuff that Duran and Carmelo Anthony did, but George Gervin was something else. And if it wasn't for Dr. J and Moses Malone ABA, he probably would have been the baddest there. He was bad, but he had the coldest poster back in the day. Oh, it was, because that thing would go high off the glass. You couldn't touch it. You couldn't touch it. He was a great example of the best offense beats a good defense because he could score with the best of them. Ice was cold. Ice was cold. Looking like Q-Tip's daddy too. But Ice was cold. The finger roll was the business. He's the dude that I'm gonna tell you, don't get hurt. And he's in that argument with Jordan and Larry Bird. Did you ever see the 91 highlights against Michael Jordan? Stop that thing cold. Stop that thing cold on D. 4 blocks on it was cold. Had a limp. You really believe that? How many years have they been hollering about a super team in Clipper land? I've been hearing that since the late '00s. Heard that when Paul George, heard that when Blake Griffin. Oh no. He CP3, Blake, and Andre and I've been hearing about that forever. They ain't done nothing. We're gonna see. I doubt it though. There's somebody's in there gonna mess it up. Cause Bradley Beal don't know nothing about playing like that. If Kawhi stayed healthy and they and feed Zubac the right way, because that should be the only team that should challenge OKC in the West but on paper, but on talent, I don't know. We shall see. There's too many ifs with the Clippers, and you'll be drunk by the time they get it together. This is the Clippers we're talking about. They've been saying this for years. Paul George was supposed to be a difference maker. Before that, CP3 was a difference maker. Before that, Blake Griffin. Do you understand? We talk about 15 years of the Clippers shoulda, woulda, coulda. And when Elton Brand was there, come on now. Been saying that song for like 15 years. They've been probably like on paper, the third to fifth best team in the NBA on paper. And then the same old same. Hank Gallows was bad in college, and Reggie Lewis was something else. He was a strong fit. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It's sad. It's kind of like Wayman Tisdale, too. You know, some of these guys don't get a chance and shoulda, woulda, couldas. There's a lot of those guys. Sadly, some of the guys that make it off the block, though, but they were bad, though. Hmm. That's a good question, though, when you ask about those guys. He played bass, and he did some smooth jazz records. And I listened to a few of his stuff. He was decent. He was cool. It was cool. It was cool. But he was in college. He was a beast. Just like Danny Manning. And some guys I remember when they were in college, that was a different era. It's just that sometimes the legs or health or something. But there was some cats that that's an old school name too, Wayman. I had a cousin named Wayman. That's a rare name. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't buy it and nothing like that. I mean, I listened to it. I mean, it was cool for the styling he was doing, you know. There are musicians who play sports. I mean, Bernie Williams made albums too, acoustic guitar. So I remember, there's a few. I think Jack McDowell, I want to say with the White Sox. There's some cats who made music part time. He had one track that I like, but I can't think of right now. Anyway, keep on with the questions. Feel free. Mark Porter is cool. I've listened to some of his stuff. I like some things I've heard. Definitely. Definitely was good artistry. Got some good stuff. Some good things I like. Shit, we got the poll up. The poll is definitely taking off. That's good. Glad I got a good poll question. That's always essential, like when people want to like communicate. So that's all good. That's definitely all good. Mm. All right, let's get some questions going. Let's see if everybody's still around. Check it one time. Am I wrong? Well, Miles Davis, it depends on which era we're talking about. If you're talking about the birth of the cool, if you get into his mid 50s to his late 60s, I think he probably would, it'd be pretty straightforward. When he went into the more jazz fusion thing, that might leave you. And it's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people like straight ahead jazz. Some people like bebop. Somebody like New Orleans jazz likes the standards. Sometimes when cats did the fusion, it could throw some people off. It all depends on what your cup of tea is. So no, it's nothing to be, no, it's not for everybody. I happen to be a big fan of his because he did a lot of progressive stuff. Freddie Hubbard was nice on that horn. I've listened to quite a bit of Freddie. I like Freddie. Freddie was tight. Just like Stanley Turrentine. I like a jazz head. You come here talking my lingo. I don't even get to really showcase this side of me much. That's why I love live forms because I wouldn't normally do it on a video because you don't, the interaction unless of course you really communicate it. But oh, I dig them cats. I like Freddie's tone. Mhm. But yeah, Miles is not for everybody. Some people, critics will say he skipped too many notes, and he showcased a lot of soloing from his different bands or artistries that he would have. But he always attracted the right musicians and got sound, and you know, he had a certain structure within the structure. So it all depends on where you went with it. McCoy Tyner got some nice pieces. I like McCoy. You definitely be up on your stuff. Right on. Right on. Yeah, when you say McCoy Tyner, that's definitely cool. I'm trying to think who else I wanted to say. Les McCann. There's some people, there's a lot of people I can go in that direction with. What was I listening to? Yeah. Well, you got good taste. And when you listen to music as music, then you don't limit yourself. It's only when people get caught. Pat Metheny is one of the most distinctive guitar players I've ever heard. You know, what's up? Good to have you on board, man. Thanks for coming. I bought one. I remember he did a guitar, a was a jazz guitar. Some article he laid in the Kenny G. That's one of the worst ethers I've ever. He wrote it out. I remember that distinctive sound though. Matheny got a distinctive tone though. Well, I saw it I saw the winning back in the day. That was the greatest 3 rounds of fighting I've ever seen in my life to this day. Jerry curl juice, bald head, and it's just a survival of the fittest. Fist was flying. The only problem is I was a Hearns dude, but Hearns ain't got no legs though. Hearns had all upper body and no legs. That's the reason why he couldn't finish that fight because they went at it. That was that's the baddest fight I ever seen. That's how I want my boxing nonstop, bam, bam, bam. Hagler just having to connect on that Jerry curl, and that was it. Them legs wobble, but that was 3 of the baddest rounds I ever saw to this day. Yeah, Night Motion was one of my cuts. When he played with Love Unlimited, Barry White's band, he had more of a groove. He was different when he first started, but when he got with Clive Davis, yes, he got all watery and played that one note. I got a funny story about Kenny G because I had an ex girlfriend and she said, "Oh, play that Kenny G song," and I'm like, I got lost. I was like rewinding the tape because if you had a tape and you had Kenny G music, oh god, that could be all night. By the time you find that piece, it was all one song. Yeah, they scrap. That's how we used to cut. They just scrap. They scrapped, and it was a great fight. It's the best fight I ever seen for me. Because of the action. If you like action, that was your fight. I love boxing matches like that. You know, they fought like they was no love lost, and they was coming to take heads off, and I loved it. You know, that was a fight. Well, that's where the money's at. That's all that's about. That's where the money's at. They get in where the money's at. That's where the streams at. That's where you make your money. You know, Netflix got football, so they may as well jump in on that. I mean, if the fight's worth it, if it turns out to be a hit, then yeah, you know. I'm not surprised because I figure that that's what be the next sensation. Since HBO ain't on it no more. I mean, I don't even know no more because I don't really pay it no mind. But I know that, that's what's up. That's where the money's at. So you just hope there's a great fight. But Netflix is involved with so much of everything these days. So yeah. So we shall see. They charge you, they ain't charge me. So I remember back in '87, me and my boy came back from the Y and there was a long line for the Tyson and Spinks fight, and we laughed, and you know how that was going in. When I got Showtime a few years later after that, got my fights and stuff, and I watched stuff, knew good and well not to spend that kind of money. And I didn't do it for wrestling either. I love with we had the Mid South, we had all that. I didn't do that. But they did. They was hustling people. Oh yeah. Except depending on where you lived, if you had like a different type of cable platform, you might could get you a free pay-per-view or discount. They had some deals back in the day. And we didn't buy no. We looked at that long line. Just so a friend of mine, she came over my house after the fight and she asked me, I said, you knew that mess wasn't gonna last long. He used to make me mad. So this is the story, and I think I told Ted this. I loved Evander Holyfield fights because that meant I got dinner, seconds, dessert, and maybe an after and maybe a popcorn or something. Tyson fights couldn't even get the plate on the table. Be in the you be in the kitchen. Mike fights over with before by the time you. I had a house party once. Tyson. Remember when he fought Frank Bruno? Was that one in '88? And we were like, just we had food. We just said, please. We went 5 rounds. We are like, 'cause I hated his fights, man. Might knock cats out before you even get a chance to put your napkin on your lap. So there's things that you remember, like, yeah, you know. But when he fought like Razor Ruddock, when he fought some other cats, then the fights went longer. But in his peak in his prime, oh, he was not good for your he was not good. Very different. Very different. People ain't gonna never know about the pay-per-view and how you had to go in them lines and get your videos and all that. They're not gonna know that. To tell you, if we had the technology we got now back then, we saved a lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of hurt feelings too. Mhm. But it was fun to go through it though. I'm not gonna lie. It was fun. There's a lot of things that we did that you can't even imagine because uh, you had to think. You were using your noggin. Different era. So keep on hitting that like up, and we 50-50 on this CEO thing. That's pretty good. I don't even pay most of the stuff today any mind because it's more hype than anything. I mean, it's more hype. Yeah, my last blockbuster story was about Mariah Carey and that glitter. Cause I had a buddy of mine and this girl had a party. I think they were having a bone party or something. And they said, go pick something. I said, oh, y'all gonna let me pick the movie? Yeah, yeah, we trust you. And about 8 of them. And I went and came back, brought that Mariah movie. Well, it represented for that time period. Again, we grew up in a time when you had people had their own video stores. They had their own local ones. It was fun. I don't know if Layla will take her up on that offer though. I doubt it. Can't imagine Layla want to still scrap at this stage. So, but money talk. Yeah, Glitter was the movie. It was a joke. I was a troll, and cause they looked at me. You know when you used to go to video store, the record store, and you buy something, they look at you all strange with like what you buying. You go in a place and you get that look like, and I pay them with it with glitter. I said, well, y'all gonna get high anyway, so y'all ain't gonna know the difference. They rent that joint for 2 days. I cracked up. I never forgot it. Yeah, you seen her in Precious, and she did, and I think it was Jersey Girl. Some mess she did. She was in a couple other films, but Glitter was her debut though. So that was the extent of that though. But it was my humor though. But that's when Terrence Howard was just really his film career was starting to pick up. This came out before Hustle and Flow. Anyway. All right now, where everybody at? Feel free to keep on commenting. We're doing pretty good today. Got a good vibe going. Just don't see what's up. That's how they used to look at you. Exactly. That's the I do kind of I didn't like it, but then I kind of missed that interaction because that was real. Yeah, you got that kind of vibe. That's how people were programmed to think. But they're now known just as the chicks because they had to drop that part of it off. And then Leanne Rimes was cool at once upon a time. She could sing. She was supposed to be like the Patsy Cline, Connie Francis type of her generation. Then she got skinny and they ran off because we get pigeonholed. That's how it always goes. We get pigeonholed. People are always still in this, oh. Not like if I told them like I used to like Soundgarden, like, oh. So I like Chris Cornell. I say, yeah, I listen to music. Music, you know. But the industry is racist and divisive, so they anticipate the listeners to be pigeonholed. That's what they do. Well, if you played it, yeah, I guess now, because back in the day it was cool and it was a different vibe. It depends, yeah. Because and whitewashed it, that's why. When they made it smooth jazz, they put other people in there. Mhm. If you play hip hop or if you play reggae or funk, something old school, they ain't gonna say nothing. You get confined. Now, if you get up there and start playing Cletus T. Judd or you played George Strait or you played George Jones. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I miss the heads up if I played Living Color though. Brothers that were rocking. He could have been. I mean, I think that when he got robbed in the Sugar Ray fight the second time, and then that loss to Hearns, but he is him. I mean, he was great for his time, but I think that those 2 losses, not getting that Sugar Ray and not beating Hagler, had he got that fight against as far as fighting goes, but he took that L and then he got hustled in that Sugar Ray. But I held him in high regard. Yeah, right. Well, this is the thing. Sugar Ray danced on him at the end of the round, so he like 20 seconds he do a little movement. He hit him, but he didn't knock him out. And I think that's the thing. That's what I was listening to. I was blasting that. Cult of personality, glamour boy. I did all that. I bump all that. I was dug. Elvis is dead too. Bump all that by Living Color. Cause I used to listen to Living Color. And they never got they due. And Corey Glover can still sing. I watched that Tiny Desk performance recently. They still got it. Doug Wimbush on bass, they still got it. I did a video about it. Still love me some Living Color. Still bumping. Vernon Reed is almost as cool as a cucumber too when he talk. Crack me up. Um, I think Hagler got it, but the thing is, yeah. And the thing is that Hagler didn't fight him to win. And you can't go in there. Yeah, I do. I like some of it, but he was kind of pigeonholed like Darius Rucker. Corey can sing. Corey's like the black version of Steve Perry, but he didn't get the right material and he wasn't gonna get the push. And he doesn't look like they won't. But that voice, um, Hagler didn't go to win. It's like George Foreman said when he fought Michael Moore back in '94. He said, "If I'm gonna knock him out, the refs ain't gonna give it to me." Yeah, I remember it. I remember that song. You know, you got to go in and knock him out. The champ, you got to knock him out, especially when you're going against a fighter that is pay for play. Pay for play is they the money boy. So be it De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, if they the money boy, you got to go and knock their butt out. Ali, you're the money boy, you got to knock them out. Because if you don't, you think you don't, it's like, and it happens like that in sports too. I mean, in basketball, for all of sports. Man, you better go there and knock them out because if you go in there and play pity pat with them, you got to wait till the judges. It's gonna be just like them French judges when it come to ice skating in the wintertime. You thinking you getting a 9.99 and a 10, you gonna get like a 9.1, 8.9. They their fix is on. You better go in there and bust them case while you do it. Because if you don't, then you're gonna lose and you're gonna be frustrated. Well, what he did is he fought into Sugar Ray's. Sugar Ray was able to dance off of him. That's all. The lyrics word for word. Who were you a fan of? Who you talking about with their lyrics? You talking about Living Color? I never heard anything controversial about Living Color lyrics. Okay. Okay. Well, now, see, reasonable. But see, I wish Hagler, that was when he fought Sugar Ray. That's before Foreman, what Foreman said. Oh, yeah, well, a lot of them acts, come on now. You don't listen to 'em for lyrical content. I'm just saying. But, and the fans don't care. But, you gotta go in there. If you're a fighter, you gotta go and knock them out. You're a figure skater, you gotta knock them out. You don't go by don't let the rest of the judgment come at you. It's like when football teams go play Dallas in Dallas when they were when they were legit. You didn't let it come down to the refs. Don't let it come down to the zebras. People tell that all the time. Don't let it happen. NBA, you better beat that butt. You sit there and play around, they'll snatch it up under you. Oh yeah, because he felt like he got robbed. Yeah. And that was his money fight too. Come on now. He beat Hearns and there wasn't gonna be no part two. And Sugar Ray was the money boy. Come on now. You fought Duran, but you fought all the main ones, but you fought Sugar Ray. That was your payday. That was your lifetime insurance. Hello, how you doing? Welcome aboard, Charlene. Glad to see you. You fight the money guy and you invest your money wisely, you straight. Oh, I loved Hearns too. Hearns was my dog. I don't like him now though. All that sucking up the Trump mess, but as a fighter, yeah, that was my dog. I First of all, I like Living Color. I didn't get with all those other acts, but there was always undertones in popular music as it was. Sorry to hear that. I did like City High. Wow. Wow. Well, he sat there when recently, did you see it last year? Him and Lawrence Taylor sat there all grinning with Trump because Trump will go find cats that were athletes and they know exactly what to say. I don't know what he need. It was just sad for me to see that, but I wasn't shocked though. But somehow Trump can talk to the machismo of cats in a strange way. Yeah, Richie Havens had an undertone, but I think Bill Withers did too. Sugar Ray was as much as Jordan, as much as Tiger, Kobe, Shaq, and them, because he was corporate. OJ, he he had that it, and see that it is a fine line between are you or aren't you. They see money in you, and you're great at what you do, and you also have personality, and you got a smile, and you connect. So that's how it all becomes compartmentalized. It's a very tricky slope with that. My mama used to say that too. My mama thought he was sold out because he got them fights. But the thing about it is you can say that, but did the guy earn his keep? Was he as good as advertised? Or was he some factory generated? Was he just some formula generated? So it's a touchy, it's two things can be true. He was great, but he could also been shuffling. And it's hard to tell because the guy had so much crossover appeal. You have a hard time with that after a while because the guy's really that good and he has personality and he appeals to the moms and the dogs and the yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm going to start Jodeci bench mint condition. I gotta cut Silk. Because Jodeci and mint condition had more impact than Silk, even though Silk came out strong. And their lead singer is a very talented musician. But the problem with Silk, it's all tied to Key Sweat. Jodeci was running neck and neck with Boys to Men once upon a time. Mint Condition was running neck and neck once upon a time with Tony Tone. And I happen to be a big fan of Stokely. Stokely did the Rick James Broadway, I mean the theater thing, which was good. Silk got talent, but Silk to me was like a second tier act. And they hit big, but he got into being into a brawler. And what he ended up doing was wearing himself out. That's exactly right. He went in trying to brawl and take him out, and he had to learn how to be meticulous. That's why when you always talk about smart fighters like Ali or a smart fighter like Floyd Mayweather, that's one thing I will give Floyd. He takes you, he wears you down. They were decent. Now, originally, R. Kelly was supposed to be part of them. That would have been interesting, but he wasn't given no creative control. And he probably wanted to write all the songs, but it would have been interesting. Um, they didn't add anything. It was kind of like what I would call second tier cats altogether, if you ask me. Yeah, but they didn't really add nothing. It wasn't like a trio that you were thinking, oh, they were going to be the second coming or something. It was cool for what it was, you know. But it didn't really add anything. They didn't bring out anything more than their formula. It helped Johnny Gill more than anybody because it kept him in another group setting. So that works out for him. Gerald Levert was more based as a group. Keith Sweat was a solo cat, but it was decent. I liked a couple things. Well, they overshadowed him because Johnny's the better singer. Keith got the trail and Gerald had the trail. Johnny needed new addition, and that's what helped to balance him out. Yeah, but it's a strange stick around because you got to be in some kind of shape psychologically, spiritually, mentally to be able to do it, and people still want to pay to go see you. So it's a strange. I agree with you, but it's a strange one to agree because if you suck, they wouldn't pay to go still see you, and you're long in the tooth. You know. Oh, LeBron's getting ready to retire this year. It's already or he gonna go somewhere next year. That's all but a done deal. They're not taking him back after next year. So after this year is pretty much all she wrote. No, I don't watch those. And for exactly what you mentioned. I don't. Well, no, they're not gonna let you get Livingston, Braxton, or who was it? It's back in the 80s who got knocked out and he was I can't think right now, but they don't let that happen no more. MMA does that, but boxing now. Boxing's a little bit more strategic now. Well, you gotta remember, cats be pounding on people. It's like to tell you to be honest with you, watching NFL Hall of Fame is tough. They sure would knock all you out. Everybody thought everybody was trying to be like Michael Jackson with shades on at the press conference. And no, that cat can't see. The shades give him some hope. They ain't rocking the shades because he can't see where he at. But I don't like watching NFL Hall of Fame speak, if you must know. So those guys didn't end up too well. It's great to see Rosie Greer, who just turned 93 still. That's a good thing. Now, they changed the rules because they don't want to be responsible for paying their medical. Ain't got nothing to do about the fighters. Yep. Ray Boom Boom. And that's a tough thing too, 'cause especially when cats who lose the cats that you know they shouldn't lose to. That's how Floyd Mayweather be trolling people because he can make money off of it in ways that he can manipulate it. And I ain't got no problem with that. I just don't want to see a guy who's got to go in the ring because he needs to get a $2 million check and ain't got no money. And he got hustled and he spent too much money. Yeah. But still, if you stay around too long, you're gonna lose a lot of stuff. I mean, I've seen guys who just was done, you know. It was with Ali too. I would go of course I remember Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea fought and he put on a show and beat whatchamacallit, and they robbed him. I remember Sweet Pea was cocky and how you doing, Miss Pamela? Welcome. And they robbed him. That's money. That was money. Remember what I told you, you gotta go in there and knock him out. You can't beat him on technique, you gotta knock that butt out. They like to see the whole case. Yeah, Mercy Rose my jam. That was the cut. That was the cut. I remember I listened to all that though. Yeah, Sweet Pea put on a clinic. Buddy of mine was shocked too. No, Larry Holmes didn't take no bad punches though. He kept himself, you know, because Larry didn't use a lot of big words, so it's not like you could really tell the differences with Larry. But no, he take care of himself. Some guys, I'll give you an example. In football, Marcus Allen talked about it once about how he didn't take certain type of hits, so that's why it kept him upright. So he didn't go through a lot of that. Marcus Allen did an interview about that. He's talking about how he would run. So yeah, so yeah. And when cats, get themselves together, sometimes they wire right. But that's a good one about Larry though. More than a feeling, not even close. Boston came out had a sound that sonically didn't sound like nothing else that was out at the time. Poison was just a hair band. They had a couple okay songs. No, he was doing things before the NFL. You can't blame it on the NFL. I'm not even going to dignify most of the stuff he did. He's on that Kanye Gilbert Arenas shock jock tip, and it's just sad too because that guy should be a first ballot Hall of Fame. He should have been. Yeah, and that was a shame too because Marcus Allen had to defer the ball, and he had a two and at that time to have two dynamic running backs in your backfield. Al Davis was front, and he hated on Marcus. I don't know. It's a no brainer for me. It's Boston. It's not even close. The Poison songs just they all right. I wasn't that big on them. I like give me something to believe in. I thought Bret Michaels was decent, okay cat, but they were just another hair band. They were like Cinderella and Rat and them. Third tier. Not with her, but I heard with Nicole Brown's Simpson, but not with her though. Marcus got around. Marcus was OJ Light. He got around, but he got a pass, but he didn't really get, he I don't know what happened. I've never that was the strangest thing for a guy to be in his peak in his prime who was an NFL MVP to get white ball like that. And even Howie Long's crew cut was kind of like, girl, that was wrong. His hair wobble. He did. Oh yeah, that's a known fact. There's a funny story about a trooper that was in Oregon that was Marcus and Ronnie Lott, and the Coles in the front was all of them. So you can go run with how you want with that. That came out about 30 years ago. And it probably did share everything because Marcus was a OJ clone, and I love to know it's a Plato. Yeah, but the problem was is that they were long in the tooth, and the Bills was the better team, and they weren't at their. They weren't. Had they went there about 89 or 90, they probably get a ring. So the story is in the car there was Marcus Allen, and then there was Ronnie Lott. Farner had the catcher song, but I think Bad Company got the cut. Oh, he knew. Well, he turned her out because the story goes, if you want to go back, originally Charlie Wilson, Gap Band, was trying to holler at her back when she was 19, 18, 19, at that 17, 18, when she was working at that waitress gig. Because Charlie was the one that was up on that before OJ. I heard that long time ago. Charlie, first name Wilson, last name Wilson. Yeah. Small world, yo. Small world. Heard that one a long time ago. Long time ago. But he probably won't talk about that. But that came about. I forgot how that story was about. That was a long time ago. She had her sights set on a brother and somebody nowhere. So them things don't be had by accident. You're in certain parts of California, you certain upscales, it's like, uh-oh, we got a brother alert. Shh. That's where the money. And that's what happened. Mhm. Well, I'm taking Nirvana on that one. Even Flow was cool, but I like Come As You Are. Media made Who Seem Like an Angel. Which Irene Cara song? If I Can't Have You by Yvonne was nice though. Made Who Seem Like an Angel. Even Flow was a decent song. Oh yeah. You said it meant her. Well, if you angel dust, if that's your idea of angel, what about Apollonia? What about her? I don't really talk about her much, but what about her? I like the guitar on that song. I mean, they had some stuff that I like, but I've never been the biggest Pearl Jam fan. But Come As You Are kind of hit me with that bass, that groove just hit me a little bit. I just like the intensity of it because they sucked. She couldn't sing. And Prince, that's where I lost respect for him as a producer because that's like, man, you try to put your name to anything. And she just sounded flat. She just was flat, you know. I mean, times with Prince, as great as talented he was, he's had the wrong head in the wrong section a lot of times. He didn't separate the two, and that's why I lost respect for him as a producer because he worked with anybody. You got to start Oscar. That's a dub. I'd probably say bench Julian Jackson and cut Camacho though. But you gotta start Oscar. He had a cold jab. His jab was cold. We never do boxing much on here, and I had to think for a moment, but no, De La Hoya had the jab. Well, he had to play ball. I don't know if I'd say a part of, but they definitely put control on him. I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted to separate his past so much. And when he became Jehovah's Witness, how he ran from a lot of stuff because he was torn and conflicted. He knew that the stuff wasn't right. And the industry wasn't the same as the one he entered. I'm gonna start Oscar, bench Hagler, and cut Hopkins. Hagler got to stay because Hagler was in the middle of everything, and you can debate. And Oscar, you go. Oh, come on now! Don't be asking me no scrub. I'll tell you a story about Prince. He was in betweener. Oh God, this is horrible. You gotta keep Trent Green, and you can do whatever you want with the last two. I think I take Cordell slightly over Sean King, but that is ugly though. That's a horrible one. Um, he wanted crossover acceptance. He tried to remember Purple Rain. His mama was white. Now you watch Purple Rain. Have you seen the movie Ted? Have you seen Purple Rain? Give me a one if you've seen Purple Rain. Because if you saw Purple Rain, now he had a cool perm on his head, which was cool, and he was androgyny and he was cool. But he created Minneapolis as this multiplex of different backgrounds. Everybody was all cool. So the story is in Minneapolis that the First Avenue, they weren't even letting black people perform like that. They were racist down there. He made it into no, not even close. Superfly and Shaft for me. And I like Saturday Night Fever better too. Dove's Cry was a great song, and I love The Purple Rain song depends on Baby I'm a Star. Wasn't that crazy about that soundtrack. But Dove's Cry was a great song. Hopkins starts Tony, and then I'm gotta cut Bo. Pretty Bo should have been better than he was. Had the hype too. Had the hype. Had the Ali type of cut on his hair line. They put him on Rolling Stone back in '92. He had the hype for him, but he never lived up to the hype. So so anyway, Ted with Prince, but he changed though. He got blacker as he got older though. But I think, with Purple, if you watch the movie, the mama was portrayed white and he was always saying that he was this and that. And then he changed. It's a man's world. Percy sung that song, but James Brown put something on the song that people are still trying to ask Alicia Keys about falling. She jacked It's a Man's World. Christina Aguilera gave one of her best Grammy performances ever by doing James Brown. Percy's song is tight, but James Brown put out a song with them horns and that riff that oof, because he's cut. His physique sells him. So that's what they're selling on meat market. I don't really Angelo Dundee. I don't really have a and I'd say um Floyd's daddy and Amanda, I can't think right now. Um he was a child actor. And, you know, black actors crossover and appeal. So for instance, let me ask you this. Who you like out of Michael B. Jordan and Anthony Mackie? And Mackie does all the superhero movies right now, and Michael B. Jordan does all the stunt action. So there you go. I think the problem with Aguilera is that nobody is really okay. I'm not the biggest Mackie fan, but he said some suspect stuff. But I'm more into Michael B. Jordan of the two because Michael B. Jordan ain't limited. But anyway, Yeah, he might be, but he can't sell no tickets though. Not those kind of tickets. They selling two different type of tickets. I think Aguilera's problem is that she just oversung too much and people kind of moved on, and she never had that next level of it. She should have taken a cue from Linda Ronstadt and made her game more versatile. And I think that's what hurt her. Maggie, just that he just doesn't, didn't go nowhere. That's all with certain people. I'm not big on either one of them. I just mentioned it though. I thought Chadwick Boseman was the last cat that I liked that came out. Chadwick had it. He was the closest thing to a younger Denzel, but there ain't gonna be no more Denzel though. And neither of these cats that's out now got even a Wesley Snipes type of vibe in them. So that's all. Chadwick was one of my favorites, y'all. Take me home tonight. It's like Ronnie said, two tickets to paradise. Funny. What's that one video? I can't think of it right now. Apolloni was in one of his videos. And Baby Hold On was one of my cuts by him too. He used to be a police officer too. I always thought he was a third tier act though. I liked a couple of his songs. They were party, you know, vibe, but not the deepest cat. But a couple songs were okay though. He was alright. I like about two or three of his songs. But he had a cool name. If he was a wrestler though, he'd be getting pent though. Eddie Money. Could you imagine entering the ring against Kamala? Eddie Money. No. Eyes Without a Face was my jam. Rebel Yell. No, I liked Idol better. I liked Idol better. Eyes Without a Face, I like that better. He sure did because he get pent too. That's another thing we used to do back in the day. If your name sounded whack, well, you gonna get pent. Because Billy Idol and Eddie Money, that tag team would get knocked out. Not a good wrestling name because you can't come in there with a corny name. You always knew the Scrubs too because they had scrub names. Your name was Ed Money and Billy Idol. Mm, okay. Mm. Now I don't really see that too much either. But Ant do remind me of somebody. I just can't think right now. Ant be remind me of some Baptist preacher's son, but I can't think right now. I want to say Eddie Long. I can't think. It's one of them he remind me of. He act like a Baptist preacher's son too. He be acting like one too. But that's a whole nother story, another video. I'm not even paying him no mind. Wait till we get to the NBA season. I'm not discussing basketball right now because as far as that go. Um that's who curses a lot. You'd be surprised. I know about some preachers, yo. I got some stories. Um, it's because he's been spoiled and coddled. That's why. Media called him ever since he was 16. I mean, when he got older. And there's nothing that can be done, you know. And also the problem that he's in running into now, the NBA parity is so real that everybody's got one of something, you know? So it's not like you can go run and hide and tag up with this place that they don't have it. Everybody's got one of something. So where he gonna go run and hide? His hometown team is good enough. They're not championship worthy, but they good enough to be second round, maybe third round with Donovan Mitchell. Everybody's got one of something. So that parity is real. Oh, I know it will be. I'm not going to waste my time watching it because people will probably clap just to get his behind up out of there. That's why he's so tiring. And his fans are going to be nauseating. Yeah, I wish LeBron could get some of that Paul Pierce farewell tour, but that ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen. He's going to try to play until the wheels come off. I mean, you really think he going to defer to be a six man? Because that's what his son is legally. Hmm. I think that because the Lakers are notorious for like a farewell send-off, they let him act up. Mhm, mhm. You know how it could end. Mhm. It could be just like Jason Tatum and could be like Tyree Halliburton. You got a feeling. No, I just think, well, right now he's in my anywhere from 10 to 12, so I might do it. Not even like that. It's awkward because um I like her. I'll leave it at that. I like her. Um he is in a strange situation because he was the name that was brought in to supplement Kobe. It's done in a calculated way, so his whole situation is gonna have a funny, strange fit. Gotta start Oscar and gotta bench Evander, and I have to cut Hagler only because Oscar was money time. And Holyfield is one of those guys that left a lasting impression. I mean, he did it. I think I'm gonna probably have to put LeBron at 12 at this stage, um, for me right now. I think LeBron ownership. That's the only thing. But he does a disservice by continuing to play. Um, you promote your brand. I can't put him top five. I can't do it because I got too many guys that were more dominant than him, and he didn't dominate. And I can't say he. I can't sit here and tell you he had a better career than Steph Curry. Can't say that. Yeah, when you consider the situations he had hooked up with, that's him. That's underachieving because think about it. You get to pick who way you want to go. You have, all MVPs, all that, and you don't dominate. You didn't really dominate. That doesn't look good. And when you consider that the league is watered down for you, no, he won't. Curry moved me more, and he changed the landscape. I'm gonna tell you something. LeBron owes Curry a dollar for every time he makes a three because if you took the 3-point shooting to LeBron's repertoire, he would have been out the league 5 years ago. Curry bought him an extra 5 years by shooting a three ball. No, it was Draymond who did the begging. You say it like what has he done? Who's had a better run post they left Golden State though? Curry been to a finals and won a chip. KD been to what, 3 different teams and ain't nowhere near no more. It'd be one thing if KD had a gotten to the finals with the toe don't be on the line. He tried the thing with Kyrie, tried the thing with Book, and they ain't going to Houston. 3 teams in the last 5 years, that's not the sign of a guy that was big to be a part of something, and then what has happened? He doesn't like to be told that he's warming the bus. Well, I like what he said is true because LeBron brought that stupidness on himself. You don't come out there and say, "Oh well, rings don't matter." What about Bird, Pippen, and LeBron? What's your question? What you asking? And if you know what I'm gonna say, don't ask them kind of questions because you know good and well Scottie Pippen is the eye man out. LeBron had a chance to maybe up to 2019 as MVP, but that is gone. It's gone. It's gone. Oh well, listen. Starting Bird, I'm benching LeBron, and Scotty's gonna get cut. That's a no-brainer. That's a dub. Scotty don't score enough points to hang with them too. And yeah, he gives you a little bit all around, but LeBron's got better with triple doubles, and Bird was almost a walking triple double. So that's a no-brainer. And Pip couldn't hang with them guys. Those guys were real stars and starters. That's why I say you got to make up. You got to come up with something that's not tough. No, he was. There were people who didn't really think much of him 30 years ago. This ain't nothing new. It's just that he talked too much and ain't looking. No, well, I'll say I'll have to address that. No, I don't cut nobody else play. Um, in that order. And I love Dominique too. It's a tough one, but yeah, Elgin Baylor was bad. I don't think people realize how filthy he was. I mean, when Oscar Robertson calls you the GOAT, in spite of KD's antics, yeah, he's still trying to play this tough guy, straight bully at school. He ain't changed. KD had a better career than Dominique. And I like Neek more, but he had a better career. No, I don't do the spite out of spite. I have to go with the reason. It's just like when I do music. I have to separate the two. Because I might not be feeling somebody, I got to keep it real. Yeah, he do talk too much. Well, not only that, there was no 3-point line and hand checking, and you got the lane clogged up, and he actually had a shot. So I mean, I'm never gonna go against common. I'm not gonna use where it was only 10, 12. That guy could play flat out. I seen the highlight. That guy could score. He could shoot. But I'd start him over. I'd start him before I'd start KD. And I did a video about that. It's coming in the future. He was bad, bad. You know when you got a record with Michael Jordan, they took like 30 some years for someone to come close to it. The I would say the certain lyrical content. She used them as a template. See, this one I hate because look, Rod Strickland was one of my favorite players, but I gotta start Chauncey over him, then Strick, then Mosey gets cut. No, he ain't getting no love when you end up having to work with old Donald Sterling. Now, Ryde was better than Muggsy. Muggsy was tough, but Ryde was better. Ryde was one of my favorites. He just didn't the New Yorks he could play. But because Chauncey turned himself around with Detroit and what he did in Denver, I gotta go that route. Yeah, Muggsy had skills. I like Muggsy because I remember when he was with the Bullets. I remember with him and Manute. And Muggsy talked trash. Muggsy was a trip. Hmm. Well, it was in part Janet Rhythm Nation was also part Michael Jackson. Because if you remember Michael's get up with the toaster, so it was part of a tribute to both. I can't answer that. It could be any number of reasons. And maybe they felt like they went bent over backwards when he played. You know, you gotta remember how some guys are when they play for a team. You know, there's a lot of politics involved. You might have been a company man on the field, but you could have been problematic behind the scenes. There's always something. Hmm. Oh, he made that loud and clear when Ray Rod came. He made that loud and clear. I said, I'm gonna tell you something. Big Jeter fan, but A Rod was the money man. Come on now. You got A Rod, you selling more tickets. That's no diss to Jeter, but come on now. Sometimes someone else's shoes just a little bit bigger than yours. But so you know how it goes. He should have. He doesn't I like Jesus Walks. I like some of his stuff. He had a few things I like, but he corny. I always thought he was overrated. And I like the Bongo beat, the production he did, when he hit. He produced a lot of people. If you listen to a lot of different artists, he was on a lot of people. It wasn't just about him being a better shortstop. He sold more tickets, man. Jeter was in New York and he was great, and there's no dispute him as a first ballot, all that. But this is Alex Rodriguez. Yes, I think he's overrated. You got a problem with me saying he's overrated? Come on now. There's nothing special about him. Yeah, because that would solidify his first ballot as a Hall of Famer. And he had the rings, and he knew that he was battling Nomar Garcia Perry, and he knew who he was battling. No, I think he's overrated. I know he's overrated. He had a chance to come up with something original on that Michael Jackson 25th anniversary of Thriller, and he didn't put nothing to Billie Jean. His beats were corny. Um, he he just no. I like The Graduate, Hot The Graduate, but no, there's nothing special about what I like. The bongo beat. I told you, Jesus Walks was tight. I like some of the stuff he did. Didn't feel that 808 crap. Tried a lot of tune. He tried to act like he was deep. Not only that, but he was catchy, but I didn't hear anything that was like profound. His stuff was more because of his production for others. He was a marginal rapper. He played into pop culture, and I remember when he had John Legend on hooks and Common and stuff. Only for fans that if you like him, but for people like myself who was not that blown away, I didn't see what the big hype was. I never got it with him. I never got it with him. Not like that. You up here acting like he came up with the chronic like Dre did. No. I can deny the run because it didn't move me. I thought he was better as a producer for others, even though he hit as an artist. But I didn't sense this great, like, no, I didn't get this whole vibe like he was some, you know, no. I hate rapping orders and orders. I don't do that. Common is gonna win because he did it lyrically and more better than all of us. Of those four, I listen to Twister probably more than all the others, though. If you must know, Lupe was a broke version of Common and Nas. Had some nice skills, didn't go nowhere though. So did Nas. What's your point? I did a video about the well. That's because she didn't get no love. She didn't listen to Omarosa. He tried to follow Q-Tip's pattern when Tribe Called Quest. I know exactly what Kanye was doing, but he didn't. It just didn't. I thought he was a marginal rapper, and I thought I like some of the stuff he did, but I didn't like feeling him like that. You know, just never got it like that. That's all. You talk about intelligence and non-hood flow. That makes me think of Nas. That's what Nas pretty much did. Because Nas was basically like that. Yeah, and she got through with him. Hmm. Yeah, well, because you had to sell your soul. I mean, that's the old adage. You got to give up, cheeks for checks, booty for looty. Got to give up something to get something. You don't get it for free, but you think they just gonna give you something because you look good or you smell good. They want that money in that order. Because the Ghetto Boys, they came out raw. And listen, Willie D was good. Scarface got some deep stuff, and I like Goody Mob. If Outkast was just a regular, ordinary rap group or just was good, Goody Mob would have met them because that's the kind of heat. Hot Boys were catchy for songs, but I don't think they had a lot of depth. Yeah. But Goody Mob hit me. I was feeling them for a moment. But Ghetto Boys, I mean, I used to listen to that. That's why I still watch Willie D shows now, but it's not the same, no. Scarface is doing comedy now. He's good. I'm not using the solo work because I'm using what they did as cohesively. And the Ghetto Boys moved me more. They're the ones who put the South on the map. I'm not but it does help when I look at the individuals. That's how you build your wall. That's how NWA built their wall. That's how Wu Tang built their wall. 3-6 was cool. Sipping on syrup was, oh man, look. Every time I think about them turkeys, I remember going to Walmart and you go in aisle 7 where the cough syrup was, turkeys was getting towed up. Cherry syrup getting turned. After that thing came out, 3-6 Mafia had turkeys turning. Yeah, it was bad. Grape syrup and all that was getting drunk like it was Kool-Aid. I mean, crazy. Well, because you can't compare because Outkast mops the floor with them. Bone Thugs for me. Or that. And I do like me some Bone Thugs. You in Ohio too, so you already know. Bone Thugs is one of the most underappreciated though. They had catchy songs with they sing rap stuff that they did. That's what they was messing with it for. It was crazy, and we go in the store and they was telling me about it. Well, no, it was other factors with Memphis. That's just used as a media ploy. They already were headed a direction. Media will have you thinking that hip hop brand for everything when they're already infested with criminal behavior and other things. So, Outkast, that's a no brainer. Duh. Um, but the UGK and Mob Deep, yeah, but if you go back to the 70s, Gil Scott Heron was talking about Angel Dust back in 77 before that. So before hip hop, I gotta probably say, I gotta say, Mob Deep is gonna stay. UJK gotta go. It was close though. That was the toughest one. But there's always one of the three that's the main one. The three you mentioned is always like one act that I'm like, they got to stay. Because I dug Outkast, man. Outkast was like Shaq and Kobe. I went to go see Earth, Wind& and Fire back in the day. I liked a couple of they things that they did. They was popular. It was popping 20 plus years ago. They had a couple of joints that I liked. It's a long time ago. Wasn't like I go say I was a fan, but I liked a couple of things. So best shows I like were back in the day before everybody became commercialized with the videos and stuff. But yeah, I went to go see Earth, Wind& and Fire. That was a great show. I seen quite a few people. I used to go to concerts back in the day. I saw New Edition back in the day. It was a great show. I'd still go see them to this day. Because even though they don't get along, they act crazy and all that, cats can perform. They still can perform. I just don't look at them as Jermaine Dupri calling them the ultimate group, though. High energy rappers. So it's high energy rappers. I'm going to keep Busta Rhymes. He's going to stay. I'm gonna bench Redman. I cut Nikki because Nikki ain't in that argument with them. She's catchy, but she ain't in that argument. She's not in that argument. She got a flow ain't bad, but Redman hits better. And Buster owns that almost. Only Luda and Missy can, and maybe Twister. I went to a Bills game against Seattle a long time ago. And it was very memorable because I was in Seattle and there were a bunch of Bill Mafia. It was crazy. Hmm. Luda would be up in there too, high energy. I don't like high energy rappers though. Not for more than half an hour though. Because once I get that, you get 3 songs and that's it. I don't look at him as a high energy rapper. Luda, yes. I don't look at him. Then it would have been Buster, Luda, and then Redman would have to get cut. Because Luda's one of my favorite high energy rappers. But I can only listen to that for a half hour. Him doesn't really give me a lot of high energy. His bars is quick, his flow, but he's not a fast flow cat. He'll do it and runs his cadence, but it's more about how he says words and things than it is about him speeding. And you won't get him mixed up with Buster and Luda or Twister or Missy for that matter. But to be honest with you, I can respect that art form or style. Bone Thugs did it too, but the only problem is it gets gimmicky. That's the only problem. You speed rap, but then sometimes you just kind of, you know. Then you get the other extreme, slow rap. So make up your mind, because you're not supposed to listen to his old albums. He's giving you wordplay, but he ain't giving you listen play. There's a difference. See, once you start to write down what he says, then you turn around and say, "What does that mean in English?" And he got all kinds of, tones and stuff. But I had a buddy who was a big E40 fan, and I did watch him in Three Strikes with what's his butt? I used to watch his corny movies all the time. Brian Hooks, yeah. And you tell I watch hood movies. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, that hood all the way. Mhm. I know. You know, Brian Hooks was on that one TV show with him and Eve. I remember that. He got prime time. Mhm. Fat Beach was my joint. 'Cause that was that fat boy that was in there. That one was had me rolling. And Mel, I used to watch all that. Heck yeah. Oh, wow, it's cool to meet someone who remembers exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, Fat Beach was my joint. Especially with that fat boy who, with the like that girl and the volleyball, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. I remember them movies, like, I used to watch them joints late in because you know, that was the Nick Cannon, Master P happy hour before there was Tubi. You just sit there, watch them Brian Hook movie, Three Strikes was my joint. You remember that dude that was looking at him, glazing him? That was some six. That movie was a trip. Like, I'm gonna get you. Crack me up. Faison did all the hood movies. Yeah, there before there was Tubi. That's what we used to watch before Tubi. Hmm. You had hoodie. You had straight up hood movies without Tubi. That was funny. All them movies would have been on Tubi time back then. All that. They would have been in the Tubi Hall of Fame. Wherever Ted is at, those were Tubi classics right there. All that. Any movie with Brian Hooks was a Tubi classic. I remember I got excited about watching them hood movies. I had a buddy used to crack up too. I sat there and watched that because they were hood movies. I mean, they were under the hood. People used to say Ice Cube movies were hood. Now, them Brian Hook movies were hood hood. Like them cats got paid in Kool-Aid packages with some Oreo cookies and some Doritos. That's what they got for a budget. I ain't lying. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. See, the sad part about them movies that you mentioned, right? That's what Kevin Hart's career was heading. But somehow, corny James Franco, he trash. He messed up his thing too, because that cat should have been the next dude, and he went out sideways. You know, when he was popular. Okay. Yeah, well, they went a different direction. Seth went on. Seth went on. But Franco messed up though. Mhm. Franco should have been like a younger version of Richard Gere. He messed up. I don't even think about it until you mention his name, 'cause that's what come to mind. 'Cause that's what he was trying to make him into. No, they too trashy. Cats just be making some old tired curse most movies ain't funny. And they got the kind of stuff that you can find on TikTok and get a lot more laughs without trying. No, because to think about comedy, you gotta really put some work in it without putting work in it, but you gotta make it believable without doing too much, and that's the problem. No, I wasn't no fan. I never was into Adam Sandler. That's because he ran out of idea because they ain't got no money to make some money. I don't like no sequels, okay? Yeah, but no, I'm not. Never got the hype. The Wedding Singer was okay, but I just not I'm funny about my comedy. Carrie was bad and a real one. And tell you, there was a lot going on. Yeah, well, so did Pauly Shore. So where's the Pauly Shore thon? And Pauly Shore did make me laugh. Because the Weasel. Because really, what's the difference between Pauly Shore and Adam Sandler? Except one of them that they try to make into a leading man. I mean, really, think about it. There's nothing different in Hollywood. They just find cats that they can clone and say, okay, well, we put some money. The movie was corny. Damon always has to play the same old kind of role, sidekick, cornball. Doesn't go nowhere. I'm funny about my movies because they ain't putting no more budget on them. That's why. And if people, once the gig is up, the gimmick is up, what you got left? I try not to. Utah Jazz, Celtics. Damon's never got nothing that complements his talent. Damon was actually a funny cat. He just never got the right stuff. I don't know who I could put my finger on, but he should have definitely had a career like Kevin Hart's at the worst. He wasn't gonna have an Eddie Murphy career, but he should have had at least a Kevin Hart run because he was actually funny. Wrong work though. And only his brothers and them gave him something with a light bulb. They should have. They should have. Because if they don't do nothing with Doodoo Brown, they're gonna be crying. Okay. Yeah. Well, like I said before, there's a lot of politics involved. So it's not, it's a lot of stuff goes on. I never said it was the most important thing. It's a deal breaker, because of numbers and athletes. I never look at it like that. Shoot, once upon a time, I would have said more about music, but I there are more going on. It's more pressing issues. He sucked. He's the type of cornball that they like. He got that Stuart Ron Burgundy vibe. He's the kind of, he sucks. Oh God, this is three horrible ones. Eddie by default. We clown Jawani man. We clown because I know the brother that did the role too. Um, I can't think of his name right now. He been around forever and a day too. Like Mike was okay. It's cute. It's got to go. That's why they hire him. They like stiff white dudes built there. I liked him better 10 years ago with King Kunta. I don't mess with the stuff. I don't trust no brother that wants to be conscious and then turns around and this and another. And that's what your biggest hit is. Because that don't set right with me. Yeah, Miguel Nunez. Yep. He been around forever and a day. I didn't like none of it. They can't tell jokes about nothing on that lame network because they are joke themselves. Now, if he got up there and said something about Shannon Sharp, that would have been like, ooh. Miguel been around forever. Good third tier entertainer. He didn't forget. He didn't forget. He got to play this role because that's where they got him. See, I'm gonna tell you a story. It was about 2 years ago. And he was working with Dre, and they were sampling Marvin Gaye's "I Want You," and nobody was touching Kendrick. That's kind of a random question, Dry Turkey, all out the blue. But it's a combo of both, though. If you must know, you always ask the most random, deep stuff when least expect. But I know how you like to keep me on my toes. But no, I don't mess with it for all those reasons and more. He been around a long time. He was an extra in Rick James's Glow video. There's a scene in there where you can see him in there. He been around for a long time, and he was in the show Sparks with Uncle Phil and with Terrence Howard and with uh, Robin uh, Robin Robin Givens. Yeah, all that. Oh, he was there. So they did something by 2013. He did it because, again, that's where the money's at. See, Kendrick basically signed up for the Halle Berry "Take Your Clothes Off and We'll Make You a Bigger Star." Think about it. And if you read between those lines, you know what comes with that. And if you did some black folks and you got something that's catchy, we put more money on you. Or if you shake and shimmy for us, this is okay, since you're gonna be doing Q&A, I can do more with cauliflower, but I probably eat more broccoli. Well, he had no choice in that song because Tupac was signed to Death Row, and he had to do what the company wanted. And the Venom tracks, they put more money on it. You gotta understand something. History repeats itself. And I'm not coming to rain on Kendrick's parade or anybody's parade. But you remember that you on a story. If you put black people down in music or in stuff, they put more money on you. When Candace Owens was talking like she was, they put more money on her. See, when you start to question what's really going on, they ain't got no money for you. But if you talk like that, notice you see the people they put the money on. I'm just saying, it's right there for you to see. I never cared for hit him up because I thought it was just loud and him boasting. And it wasn't going to help his pockets. It didn't do nothing for his pockets. And it's not going to do anything for Kendrick's pockets. They spent a lot of money to make it seem that way. Well, he signed up for that energy. If you around a certain type of energy, you become that energy. Think about it. Yeah, I told you about that. But see, I would say this in Trump's defense on that, those guys used to fight at his plaza and he put them in the venues. And that's how he got people. He got people when they were in a different capacity. So, and plus tax bracket. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say the cat sold out because A, he fought in his venue, made a lot of money in his venue, and B, because Trump befriended him because of who he was. And it's the tax. So that's why they don't get called sold out per se. Don King be waving the flags with Trump because he was, you know. Now this is one of my liking. Of those three, it was Vanessa, Tony Moore for me. I never Robin didn't do a lot for me, but she had appeal for some. Uh Tony had that the right weave and the right hair. Tony probably wins. With the short hair, she's bad. Well, anything that you put artificial substance is gonna make you have a high. That's not by accident. That's why there's a lot of government product that's illegal. They tip you in a lot of stuff. If you drink beer and wine, that's got sugar in it. So think about it. So the artifacts, you gotta be careful what you put in your system. Tony was bad. Tony's still bad, but I thought Vanessa Williams was for a moment, but I gotta say Tony overall. Robin has a good perm, she's good to go. A good style, but she ain't seeing Tony. Tony's still bad. Okay. I got another 10 more minutes before I'm gonna roll 10 more minutes. Oh, but Tupac had to do what he had to do though. That was business, y'all. When you sign to these labels, that's what they are. They own you. Worse for me, wind chill. Cause I can with humidity, I can sweat and I don't mind, but cold wind, I be trying to find me some place to lay low. I never heard no one say that about Tina Marie. I mean, I thought she fixed herself up. I mean, she was, she decent, but I ain't never heard nobody go Google about her though. Musically, that's another story, but on the imagery wise, I never, nobody I knew ever was like Gaga Google like that. Yeah, okay. Well, you're the first. I mean, I thought she was, a decent. Well, yeah, I like that. I thought nice looking, but I never heard nobody go, ooh, you know. Mm-mm. Cause we had some bad women back then. She wasn't quite tipping the scales like that. There was some others that was definitely tipping scale. No, he was owned by the industry. His album went number one, Me Against the World. See, I can lay it out to you about how corrupt the business is. He was the one of the artists that they used in hip hop. When they locked him up, he had number one album, number one song, and but he was facing serious charges. He was locked up for SA, so you know, can't have that hanging over you. And so they put money on him, and he had to do what he had to do. And the industry owned him. And like I said, the only way out for him was the way out. Not in my consensus, he's not. I'll never consider a guy the best when he was in a segregated league. So I wouldn't please don't ask a question like that if you know me. Anybody will tell you who know me know I will never justify no mess like that. All things being equal, but things weren't equal. So no. Well, they put the money outside the video where he's wearing the Mad Max outfit and Suge was there with the cell phone and the record companies had said because actually he was still signed to Interscope, which Dre used as a subsidiary, but it wasn't Death Row was not, it was a imprint label. They weren't into Interscope, but they put the facade. Of course, well, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. How do you still say it was still segregated when he played with Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, and Jerry West was white? What are you getting at? Please know what you speak of. He played with black and white players. Babe Ruth played with no black players. Okay, Pam Grier in a blowout. Vivica wasn't like allured like that. If we go back to the '90s and we're talking about soul sisters that had that, we talk about Angela Bassett. We talk about Nia Long. We talk about Halle Berry. Vivica was nice looking, but she wasn't on a level. She didn't have that. She didn't have that. And Pam Grier's reaching the '70s. It's not the same. It's not the same. Vivica nice looking woman, yeah, before she touched everything up. But whatchamacallit, I can't even think of her name. That was a low down dirty shame. She was better looking. Oh yeah. I can't think of her name right now. But she was in a low down dirty shame, light skinned chick. She should have had Vivica wasn't seen like that. They had black players. You had MVPs, Russell and Chamberlain. You had Oscar Robertson. You had Nate Thurman. They were no, it wasn't Jada. It was the other one. Can't think of her name right now. Yeah. The black players were dominating. The Celtics had predominantly black with Sam and Casey Jones. You had Elgin Baylor. I can name black players that were great in that time period. So when you look it up, that was more balanced. Sure enough, it is because I'm like, Babe Ruth, what's the difference? 30% black is a big difference than 0%. That's what Cat ain't on. Sally, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sally. And Sally Richardson was wild. Yeah, she got married. She married the guy named Whitfield, the brother. And anyway, um, he was a TV actor. He did movies. But originally, she was the one that was messing with Jermaine Jackson, and Teddy Riley stole her from Jermaine. That was crazy. That was crazy. Sally didn't blow up, but she was like right there with Hallie and Nia. Should have had a bigger career on imagery wise too. And you remember you had Jasmine Guy, so you had beauties, you know. But Vivica wasn't mentioned in that class. No, you can say it, but there was still what you keep missing the boat is there was 0% blacks when Babe Ruth played. Okay, so let it go. I missed that era too because I was part of that era. I remember when the rent was like that. That's another lifetime ago. Oh, Jasmine paid her due though. Jasmine paid her due. She was in a successful TV show. She had a little bit of a movie career. She did a little bit of music. It's still around, Ted. They just got a way of configuring it out. It's not gone. Let me let you on the secret. Nothing is gone. It's just manipulated differently. They got new juices out here now that you can't even imagine. Because Kevin Garnett put it out about LeBron. They got a whole different supplement for you. You just can't. He probably is in them protein shakes. It's different. If you think it's gone, oh yeah, because Kevin Garnett, look up that last year. He talked about the LeBron stuff. He was talking about it last year. Kevin Garnett brought that up about LeBron. Look it up. They got some stuff out there. He was talking about it. You know, good and well if you're between Florida and then Cali, you know. There's still baseball players that are black. It's just it's not pushing the community. Obviously, the NBA and the NFL did more of it. No, it's not appeal. Deion Sanders was talking about enough black father. He tried to make some kind of take on it, but it's not endorsed. Her solo album was whack. It was like a broke Janet Jack, double broke Janet. Wasn't bad for what she was trying to do, but it's the kind of stuff that it would have gone glad bag. No one was gonna take her serious as a vocalist. Dominicans look like us. They find Mexicans look like they find everybody else look like us. They don't really want us. And they didn't promote the money in it. And unlike the NBA and the NFL, they don't put the money on it. Starting Dirk, benching Garnett, and I got to cut West. They don't really need us. And you know, when they can find ways to cut out what they don't need, that's what they do. There's still black players that play. But you see what they're doing in the NBA. So when you ask me a question, look at the NBA because they're taking them positions and they're finding people that won't talk back, won't be a threat. That's another thing too. Black baseball players were always a threat to the status quo if they talk back. You be Dick Allen, you be Dave Parker, you be Barry Bonds. They want you to act a certain way. Oh, and you got to be exceptional. But the point is that you know it's a business. And forget about playing. How about ownership and management and general management? I don't can't really say because you know what with them, defense is gonna dictate with them. I don't know. Ask me the question if we're live after their first 4 games, how their defense looks, because that's gonna be their problem right there. I think they're a good team. Yeah, he black. So is Gene Carlos Staten, but he may not. He may say Dominican, whatever. But you know, same thing. The media can be a jerk worse to you. The thing is this: he took a lot of anger because of what his father went through. Do you understand that? And his father was subjected to a lot of racist remarks and things. I remember when his dad came up. You know, his dad was around Jim Crow 60s. Okay, coming to Major League Baseball, they talk like you like a dog. They treat you like that's what you got to understand. That's what King Griffey Jr. saw what his dad went through. So, well, I may be hard for you to understand. Yeah, you could say he was wrong for his act, but I understood the hurt and the pain because the hurt and the pain was real, and they treated them like, you know, you'd be surprised how they treated them. So I understand the bond. I understand what he's going through his dad. His dad was great. Bobby Bones was 300, 300. His dad was great. Red glove for his era. But he went through a lot. Mental trauma being black is real in America. Don't let no one tell you anything there, especially when you came around those times and you were look at remember Reggie Jackson's interview a year ago. So guess what? Reggie Jackson, Bobby Bones about the same age. Think about it. Think about it. So when you ask why Barry may act like he do, think about what Reggie said about being an Albus for A's. No, Satchel was incredible because the guy was pitching like that when he was pushing 60. No, he was a consistent player, one of the greatest, most consistent hitters ever. He just didn't have no personality in terms of like, you know, but he was a great player. I got his book too. It is legit. People just don't like to hear about the reality. Yeah. Oh God, really? Please, you gonna mention me everybody? Come on now. Start Little Wayne, I bench Kanye, and I cut Travis Scott. Come on now, you gotta do better than that though. That's not interesting. Weezy got the better career than Kanye. I don't really feel Travis Scott at all. Not at all. When you give me whack folks, of course I'm not gonna be excited. Now think about how that plays off when I put this on the podcast and like redo it, and I'm like, you mention them names, you know, because you know some of them people be whack. He is. Okay, you gotta slow down. You're going too fast. I'm gonna keep Jeter and I'm gonna keep Ruth because Ruth could pitch and could hit. Can't take that from him. And Jeter was dependable. Start bench cut. You gotta keep Madonna. You gotta keep Stevie Nicks. Taylor Dane ain't got the body work. That's not a good one. That's not good. That's exactly what I mean. You find 3 random white women, you say, oh, that. And Madonna got them both beat because Stevie Nicks never had the solo career Madonna had. She and Taylor Dane combined don't make the half of Madonna's career. I'm gonna get ready to go because I've been on for 2. But I'll be back on Monday. Appreciate everyone that came through and thank you for all the questions and everything. Peace and the best. I'm out. Appreciate you. See you on Monday.